Okay, on this type of problem, you have a negative value that you're starting with, and then you are subtracting a negative value. So I would watch both of these examples because they are a little bit different. So here we are starting with -8 and we are losing -3. So first I would do some conversion. So first there is a conversion rule of subtracting a negative value is equivalent or the same as adding the opposite of that negative, which means you've got -8 plus +3. That negative can drop as long as you convert the operation to the opposite, to addition. So again, so that's the first thing, that conversion right there. Subtracting a negative is the same as adding the opposite. Now, what I would do is view this as two sort of groups of numbers. I've got 8 negatives and 3 positives. So I've got a negative and a positive group. There are more negatives, so I'm going to view this as an answer will be a negative. How many more negatives than positives? Well, we have 8 negatives and 3 positives, so there are 5 more in the negative category, which makes this answer be -5 as our difference. So in that case, when we started with a negative and subtracted another negative, we still had a negative answer. That's going to be a little different on the next side. So again, I notice we've got that subtracting of a negative, so I'm going to do some converting. Subtracting a negative is again, the first number doesn't change, but subtracting a negative is the same as adding the opposite. So instead of subtracting a -12, we can add a +12. And so once the conversion has taken place, you can kind of view this now as two different groups of values. We have 9 negatives and 12 positives. So I'm kind of identifying what we've got. There are more of the positives, so we know our answer is going to be positive. And I'm not going to write a sign because we don't need the positive sign. But comparing 12 to 9, the positives have 3 more. 12 has 3 more than 9, so our difference here will be a +3. And so that's the process. I would start by converting the subtracting of a negative into adding the opposite, and then view them as those two categories and whichever one has more and by how many. All right, there you go.